I've spent the last year reviewing and recapping every Terraria content mod. This is the 8th installment of the series, featuring both new content mods to play in 2025, as well as old classics that has received some exciting updates. Also, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. More on them later. Let's begin with Ancients Awaken, a mod that I made an update on about roughly 2 years ago, and now features the Mushroom Beta. And as you guys can guess, most of the content is mushroom related, like stuff for the blighted mushroom biome. This spawns immediately on world creation and is located somewhere on the world's surface. It features narrow walkways and new mobs, but the main thing you probably want to see is the boss, the Mushroom Monarch, a post-evil boss spawned using either the royal effigy or interacting with a literal dead corpse. Now, unlike the old version of this boss in 1.3, the sprite has had a major glow up. The attacks are pretty simple and easy to understand. Its main mechanic will revolve around burrowing itself underground and popping out for a surprise attack. It can lay down a carpet of spikes which will launch outwards. And yes, there are some slight variations to its AI, but that's really all it has so far. As for its drops, you can get one of the following weapons for its respective class, which I'm currently flashing in the background. As for the Truffle Toad, this can be found in the normal blue mushroom biome, and similar to the Monarch, it's intended to be one of the first bosses you defeat. It will slowly bounce around the arena while sporting these bouncy tadpoles. Getting overwhelmed by the minion spawns can be an issue, so having vertical mobility is a good plus. As for its attacks, I really have to highlight its tongue strike, where getting hit will slowly pull you towards the boss. Killing the tongue in time will free you, but if you don't, it will swallow you whole and spit you out. Amazing stuff. And that's the boss in a nutshell. You can explore its drops as well as the old beta content that you may have missed out on. Links all down below. As for the Calamity Mod, whilst there is no Sunken Sea update yet, I do have some extra spoilers that I haven't showcased. The Transformer accessory now generates an aura around you that creates morphing globs either when projectiles pass through it or when enemies are killed. These globs will circle around you, which can be charged and launched at your cursor. Very epic and a huge glob to the one we have currently. The Butcher weapon is being reworked and transformed into the Buzzkill, a saw blade launcher which seems to be the downgraded version of the elemental saw launcher we'll get in the future. You can slice enemies up close, and you're able to release the saw outwards and have it bounce off walls. Bloodstone weapons will also be seeing some changes and reworks, with a spoiler showcasing the Clarinet cannon. It fires explosive bullets that release blood orbs, and seems to have a unique mechanic where picking up these blood orbs will reduce your potion sickness, which I don't think I've seen before. We're also going to look at a new Sky Island structure called the Clouded Acropolis, which is aimed to replace the current World Evil Island. More world generated changes include a new shrine for the Roxcalibur, and aims to be a small prelude to the many more lore-based structures for the underworld. As for mobs of the Sunken Sea, we have sprites of these new storm lines. The closer you are to the timeless shore, the more they'll appear and slowly replace the existing ant lines. And finally, a secret Easter egg of Yaren's updated sprite. Judging from the previous iteration, it's going to be so much different and hopefully insanely epic. Remember, if you want to check out all these spoilers and what you can expect from Calamity Sunken Sea update, I've made videos which I've linked in the description below, alongside with the rest of the content mods that we'll cover next. Moving on to Fargos Calamity DLC, this sees a bunch of changes to Calamity bosses, getting new Eternity Mode AI changes. Starting off with new content, Eternity Aquatic Scourge no longer has that worm hitbox that's easily able to be cheesed with pierced weapons. Only a small portion of its body is now able to take damage, and as the fight progresses, this hitbox will change around, and the overall body segments will get shorter as well. As for the Calamitaz clone, they first removed her bullet hell invincibility phases, and instead replaced it with an immediate brother phase, both of which need to be killed before proceeding with Calamitaz. The brothers have dash attacks and a large spinning flamethrower one, and when one of its brothers are slain, the other gets enraged with additional soul seekers and lower downtime between attacks. In my opinion, this entire first section is the hardest part, as you'll need to stay kinda close to the boss and not mindlessly just run away. You don't need to incorporate any drastic gameplay changes to fight Calamitaz clone. She does have this kind of annoying Brimstone Blast attack, but her other moves are easily manageable. Would I fight this over Eternity Mode Plantera? Yeah, probably. And then moving on to the Old Duke Eternity rework, which still keeps Old Duke as an insanely fast boss, however tones down the amount of dash attacks and adds more variety in compensation. You can see that in phase 1, where he has a 4 dash sequence, which is mixed with either a giant sulfurous vortex or the spawning of these fishes to charge at the player. In phase 2, Old Duke also gains the ability to spawn a massive tornado, along with other buffed patterns. It is certainly more difficult, but I much prefer this version because of its variety in attacks. Now one rework I want to focus on in particular is the Exomechs, but I have no idea where to begin. The amount of changes and different Exomech attack patterns is just insane. So I'll just highlight its coolest attacks and I'll let you test this boss out for yourself. We have the Thanatos plus Twins Portal Dash attack, the Ares with a cool Murasama style slashes and spin attacks, this Thanatos overheat section with a giant Moonlord laser, or even this cool Exo Twins death animation. As for another underrated and well-made mod that has recently been updated, it is the Ebonian Mod. So let's not waste any time and begin with the hot garbage. Like the boss name suggests, it is a little trash bin that can fly around and launch bouncing fireballs. Other moves can include dropping trash bags from the sky, homing missiles, bombs, and drones. For a first phase, and really the first boss you fight in Ebonian, I really appreciate the different variety of attacks, and the VFX indicators definitely give the players a fair chance at beating it. When I first saw this boss, I 100% thought it was going to be a close boss, but surprisingly, it's pretty well made. You could complain that it is overwhelming for new players to modded Terraria, but I'm not a new player, so I'm fine with it. I also gotta mention its final desperation attack, which will give you a countdown timer and flashing red lights telling you to evacuate the surrounding area. That's a really cool death sequence, and I overall enjoyed this fight. The next boss we actually have inside this custom generated structure. Simply place a large amethyst in this slot over here and you'll be able to head down into the lair, where you'll see this magical stuff just yapping away. Literally this goes on for a solid minute and I love it. You simply right click to interact with the NPC and press grab to initiate the fight. Similar to the hot garbage, this boss fires patterns of projectiles, making for a more bullet hell style boss with lots of precision dodging. I do like how Xeros calls out attacks before firing, giving you an opportunity to learn its AI and have a better chance at defeating it. One of its more creative moves has to be where he turns into a sheep, restricting combat and making you just focus on dodging. Whilst there are no very distinct phases and transitions, he does get angrier the lower his HP becomes, and in turn, the fight becomes more complex. It quickly becomes a hectic battle and a good challenge for me. Remember, this was just pre-hard mode. You can check out the 2 additional bosses in hard mode as well, with the Teratoma being the corruption boss and the Sita being the crimson counterpart. These sprites are so disturbing and I'm beginning to see a solid theme for this mod. Whilst it's not fully finished, the content it does have so far is different and enjoyable. Now you guys have been super receptive of all kinds of Terraria mods I've showcased on this channel. We're shifting gears, not talking about a mod, but a whole ass game. War Thunder, the sponsor for this video. The most content-packed vehicle combat game. Unlike the restrictions of modded Terraria, this game can be enjoyed on all platforms. PC, console, mobile. Depending on how sweaty you want to get, there is a game mode for every type of player. Arcade for quick matches, realistic for that middle ground, or simulator mode if you just want to fully immerse yourself. One part I want to highlight is the X-ray kill cam. Every time a vehicle explodes, you actually see all the details. The shell's path, what it hit, what got disabled, and how it all fell apart, and the in-depth customization features it has is just the added plus. In particular, community created content being placed into the actual game is something I always support. And if you want to support me, play War Thunder right now for free using my links in the description or pinned comment. If you're a new or returning player that hasn't played for at least 6 months, you'll get a massive bonus pack for PC or console, including free premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle Valor vehicle decorator, among many other goodies, like 100,000 silver lions and 7 days of premium account time. The offer is only available for a limited time, so you don't want to miss it. And now back to the mod showcases. Now let's say you finish everything in the game and you want to try some post-Moonlord content that isn't Calamity. So let's check out the Macrocosm Mod that allows you to fly out of space and explore some awesome subworlds. To explain how the mod works, let's first begin at the rocket ship. Right clicking on the rocket ship will open this navigation menu. You have Mercury, Venus, Mars and Earth. As for the current version, you can only select on Earth and go to our moon. In a future update, I suspect that each planet will offer different enemies, loot, and more possibilities to explore. There's also even a page to customize your own rocket, changing color patterns and flags. But as for launching the rocket into space, the last thing is the pre-flight checklist. Of course, you need your astronaut armor to not suffocate, and the rocket only needs fuel to launch to the moon. And with that, we begin our voyage. The cutscene is honestly so epic, as we get a loading screen of us landing on the moon. Here, your celestial weapons are degraded, so you'll need to find stronger gear in order to take on the boss for the moon. The map is surprisingly so massive, with different areas to explore like abandoned labs and even celestial towers, which house the strongest weapons from the mod. Unfortunately, they are locked and require a Zealth key from the Crater Demon to unlock, so let's cover him next. The main mechanic around this fight is the spawning of Crater Demons. These little minions that will either chase the player or will fire imps at you through projectiles. It can also teleport around, dash really quickly, and I don't want to compare mods, but in my opinion, it's a relatively tame for a post-Moonlord boss. Obviously, your weapons won't be as strong, and the Zenith basically deals 0 damage to it, but this just entices you to explore the biome further and get more suitable weapons for the boss. The Aftermath will also allow the Moon Champion NPC to move in, as well as a chance to get our Zealth key, which we can now unlock the special chest, inside of which is truly endgame loot. Scattered across the moon, you will find a weapon for basically every class. Pretty cool post-Moonlord content. And as for Terraria Origins, this adds a decent amount of content, including new biomes, with new enemies, and even its own music tracks, which I'll be playing in the background as we explore what I feel are the most impactful aspects of the mod, and that's the new Evils biome. Along with Vanilla's Corruption and Crimson biome, the Raven biome and Defiled introduces even more content. So let's jump into the Raven biome first. As you can see, it resembles a sort of aquatic theme, with many bugs and other weird looking critters. Its main gimmick is the Torn debuff, which you will automatically receive upon entering the biome, and various interactions within this biome will accelerate its effects. There are anti-soul potions to counteract these deadly effects, but eventually you'll still need to exit the biome before being fully assimilated into the Raven hive. Definitely recommend to explore after defeating your first evil boss, but you can still achieve some of its strong weapons like the Amine Bullet, a new early thrower class weapon with massive AoE damage. Other than that, we can now check out the boss for this biome, the World Cracker. This is summoned either by destroying 3 gel blisters or when using suspicious looking ice cream. For a pre-hard mode boss, the attacks are kept pretty simple, making it a good introductory content mod for you to try out. It behaves like most worm bosses, tunneling through the ground and dashing at the player. It mainly summons helper minions from its anemoic sack to overwhelm the player. However, the sack can be destroyed prematurely to reduce the minion spawns. Swarming is its main mechanic, and this in conjunction with the Torn debuff from getting hit by enemies can make this boss difficult. With that being said, you can still cheese its loot and craft some strong equipment without needing to defeat the boss fully. Similar to other content packed mods, you'll get different AI for Expert and Master mode. But with that out of the way, let's check out the counterpart biome of the Raven Hive, and that's the Defiled biome. A sort of depressing, greyed landscape with large spiky terrain. Within the underground and cavern layers, you'll also find new enemies. Whilst I do find them harder to deal with in comparison to the Raven Hive, the overall biome hazards are less extreme. Here, you'll need to destroy any 3 Defiled relic, then head up to the surface in order to fight the Defiled Amalgamation. It expands on aspects of vanilla Terraria gameplay, being a relatively simple boss with straightforward attacks. The telegraph projectiles make it intuitive for newer players to understand, and that's the main pattern you'll see with Origins, as its main content doesn't undermine vanilla Terraria, but provides great alternatives and aims to fit in its style. Its AI consists of projectile spray, a move where the amalgamation will spawn swarm of minions, or its dash attack. There's a lot to cover in this mod, and for the sake of time, I'll let you check out for yourself. I purposely didn't go into detail with the Fiberglass Weaver because I'm not a fan of spider bosses. They are way too scary. If you aren't convinced, there is also a new Demolitionist class that I hinted at earlier, compatible all the way up to Moonlord. It is balanced around high base damage explosives, but with drawbacks of being self-inflicting damage. And moving on to Terraria Rivals, this is one of the newest mods on the list, that only came out like a day ago as of recording this section. It's filled with unique bosses, biomes, equipment, the whole content mod package, and expands all the way until Moonlord. Within this mod, bosses are heavy on projectiles and bullet hell style attacks. I'll start in hard mode with the Shade Crystal Apprentice, fought at nighttime. The main mechanic you'll see revolves around the apprentice's different projectiles, all transforming into a staff to spin around. As the fight progresses, you got your mini Moonlord lasers, and its attacks will get harder to dodge. Other than that, however, it's very bright, the background effects look really cool, and it's a decent boss that I'm sure many of you will enjoy. Fun fact, this fight is buffed post-Golem, with drastically new AI and a new sprite. It's giving off mutant vibes, and is so much more difficult than the Apprentice. The next one is a worm boss, a sort of Stormweaver 2.0 with a constantly damaging electric tail. Lightning bolts will also constantly spawn from the sky, making for an extremely hectic and projectile heavy boss fight. They are telegraphed at the very least, but this attack in particular, in conjunction with the minions that the boss can spawn, and the additional lasers that can fire from its body, it can get really messy. As we get to phase 2, Vault will spawn these pearls of light. They begin to linger at first, but will grow and home onto the player for an explosion. So a very clear theme to the fight, and it's definitely difficult. But let's move on to the last boss I'll showcase for now, and that takes place in a new biome. This spawns on World Generation, somewhere close to the underworld. But as you approach closer to the core, you'll see these chains converge towards a dormant boss, the Ignifier. Craft yourself the Eye of Ignis, and you can awaken the boss. It's a surprisingly fast one, and you'll need to kill these little antennas that sprout out of it to do any significant damage. Like the other encounters in this mod, there's a lot of projectiles. And as you can see from the footage, this boss isn't any different. For a lava hell themed battle, the amount of fire explosions are quite insane. But if you want to experience truly insane, you gotta check out the final boss, Galactica. I'm not sure if it was just my lack of equipment or something, but the entire duration of the fight is very long, with even a whole second phase happening in another subworld. I won't spoil this part too much, so I challenge you to beat it. And moving on to one of my personal favourite new mods, well, technically new, it is Spirit Mod Reforged. Different from the original or Spirit Mod Classic that you're probably familiar with. Whilst both can be played together, this new Spirit Mod Reforged can be played standalone, and there is a big emphasis on bringing the world to life with new and interesting exploration features. For this recap, I'll cover some of the new content you can check out, as well as the new caves and clubs update. The Savannah is one of the new mini biomes, or as it's been dubbed, ecotones, which are transitional biomes between Terraria's major biomes. In this case, it's between the desert and jungle, which I really love the idea of to add extra diversity in exploring. Right off the bat, you'll see very unique animals roaming the surface, as well as these flat treetops, which you can actually stand on. Many of these little features really add to the overall quality of this mod. And moving on to more biome expansions, we have the ocean biome, being able to swim around inside mini caves, and mining these molten rocks, which can be used to craft Reef Hunter armor. And maybe stumbling across your world, you will find 2 new wandering NPCs. And let me preface by saying their quality of life items are a game changer. The Hiker offers a pouch pack, which when right clicking, provides an additional 4 inventory slots, equipped with some goodies, useful for early game exploration. The Cartographer on the other hand, has a map function, where the NPC will give you a pin, which you can then place on your world map to mark points of interest. The Cartographer will also sell additional 4 pins to place around your map. No more spamming torches to mark places. Whilst there are no bosses in this version, I'm sure the amount of exploration in conjunction with some of the other potential mods could make for an awesome playthrough. The most minor update that literally came out yesterday as of recording this section is the Caves and Clubs update. Within the cavern layers are these little loot cabins, which I've also seen changes with cool mannequins that can contain armor, accessories, and what's even cooler is that it's even compatible with items from Thorium or Calamity Fables. You may also notice that breakable pots contain tons of new stuff inside. It consists of both uncommon biome pots, which are a more rare version of the default breakables, and there are variants for almost every major biome, like the Potion Vat, which upon breaking grants nearby players with various buffs, the Scrying Pot, which reveals a section of the map around the player, the Silver Platter, that offers different cooked food items, and so many more unique ones that I'll leave you to break open on your own. As for the clubs part of the Caves and Clubs update, these are a subclass of melee, which focus on slow and hard hitting attacks. We have the Wooden Club, Golden Great Hammer, Platinum Scepter, Bass Slapper, Shock Hammer, Boulder, and the I don't know how to pronounce this name. So if you want to see a full changelog of this new update and everything I've covered so far, be sure to check out all their socials like Discord and YouTube. As for Starlight River, whilst no official update has been released, we do have multiple alpha versions to cover, mostly focusing on the Thinker boss. Let's start with the Crimson biome, in which you'll find this grey matter scattered throughout the surface. Stepping on it does nothing, however defeating the Brain of Cthulhu will cause this cutscene to play. One of the aftermaths is that the grey matter will cause hallucinations, turning your screen grey and revealing a sneaky new ore called Dendrite that can only be visible when you are hallucinating. Dendrite can be mined with a certain power pickaxe, and here we have a couple items to craft. I'll colour all of these in the weapons section, but the most important one so far is the Bear Poker, used to spawn the new Thinker boss. Whilst yes, it can be fought right after the brain, the devs did recommend for players to be equipped with post-Skeletron gear, so that's what I'll base my gameplay off of. At the start of the fight, the Thinker and Dead Brain are fused together, and to progress, you need to damage the glowing blood clot at the center. During this phase, the brain can rotate around firing projectiles, it can summon creeper minions to chase you, and fire telegraph tissue projectiles, while sprouting lingering vines. This phase is all about precision dodging, and once you break the chain connecting them, the Dead Brain detaches, leading on to phase 2, where it will start to circle the player alongside the heart. Key attack can include the clone move, in which multiple Dead Brains appear around the arena, and the real one is briefly revealed. If you fail to attack it in time, all the clones will violently dash at you, but hitting the real one will cancel the attack. Exploding Mines launches several explosive brains with exclamation mark indicators, standing on the indicator to avoid damage, and every other mine will detonate after a short delay. Even though it can get very convoluted, it was pretty straightforward and the indicators help a lot. And as for phase 3, we have the Matrix phase. The fight shifts into a grayed out realm with constantly moving platforms, making positioning much harder. The Thinker enters a sort of flower mode, finally becoming vulnerable to damage. If you can survive these relentless onslaughts, you will have defeated the Thinker once and for all. And as for its drops, we are still currently in alpha testing, so there's no significant things to cover, as the Lobotomizer is a melee spear that can throw a hallucinatory copy of itself. The Mirage Bow, which creates a clone on critical hits, reflecting off the mouse. And then the Mind Crusher, a charged magic weapon that creates a glowing bubble that can be collapsed for bonus magic damage against armored targets. Comment any new mods you want me to check out, blow up some tanks for me using my links in the description, and again, thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to play for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox or mobile. Those of you who haven't played War Thunder yet, or are returning after a break of at least 6 months, can take advantage of this huge bonus pack on PC or console versions. That's it for now, I'll see you in the next mod recap, and goodbye.